Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook podcast here. We are recording for 8-game main slate on a Monday. You're doing the playbook here, James. How was your weekend, my friend?
Weekend was good. Lots of sports taking place, combat, baseball. Every weekend that passes, we're closing in on football. Every weekend that passes, we're closing in on basketball. So, a lot to look forward to. A nice little 8-gamer here on Monday. And who knows if it's going to be 8 games, because it looks like there's going to be a lot of rain in the forecast as we sit here and record, John.
That is true. We have 3 games with some potential weather issues. I did a quick look at the hourly forecast over on weather.com here, and the Atlanta-Pittsburgh game, the Toronto-Cleveland, and the Chicago-Mets matchup, all looking like there might be rained out here. This is like thunderstorms for most of the day in these areas going later into the evening. So unless these storm systems shift, which certainly can happen again, I'm out here, looking this over here just the night before. So first look podcast as we're recording, giving our first take. Some of these storm systems could be shifted away from the ballpark, could be over the ballpark. So you definitely will need to pay attention to our 5 o'clock live stream, 5 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be back giving you all the latest news and updates, especially when it comes to the weather here on this slate, because 8 games could quickly become 5 games, as James alluded to there, which is unfortunate because we do have some, more importantly, the Atlanta squad, would have been the premier stack here with Spencer Strider on the mound. And of course, the Atlanta bats, Matt Olson goes nutty again, continues to rake at the plate here. So again, we'll have to watch and see what goes on there in that Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Cleveland, and Chicago, New York matchups. Before we do break down the DraftKings slate, though, let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. James and I do the DFS Pick'em plays on the 5 o'clock live stream. Howard Bender and myself will put out RT Sports DFS Pick'em videos. You can find that over on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube. If you're not yet signed up over at RT Sports, go to rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm23. New users will get a 100% deposit match up to $200. You can use that deposit match on these DFS Pick'em plays. Or if you'd rather, you can enter their fantasy football championship contest, both best ball and seasonal. Have an opportunity there to take down some fantasy football gold with some cash alongside of it. So go check out rtsports.com. A lot of great things going on over there. James, turning our attention to this DraftKings main slate here. As we mentioned, pitching-wise, Strider's at the top, but we may not have him in this matchup against the Pirates. Gerrit Cole, Kodai Senga, your other 2 guys up over 10K. Logan Webb, Freddie Peralta, Brian Bayo over 9K. Breaking down the slate, my friend, how are you looking at the top-tier pitching?
I mean, look, we'll just attack this slate as if the games are going to go off. If Spencer Strider is on the mound, it's hard-pressed not to get there, I think.
Yeah.
Now, it's obviously a decision whether you're or their offense, because I don't think you can do both of those things. So preference there is going to be king. I definitely think you can keep getting to Gerrit Cole. He continues to be awesome every slate. Those 2 runs against Tampa was a first inning Brandon Lau home run and then nothing else. Shut him down the rest of the game. Shane McClanahan got rocked on the other side. And
actually
Gerrit
got
Cole
a win,
actually got a win. The Yankees have been doing a little bit more of that, like every other game now. I didn't think they were ever going to win again after the deadline, but 28 fantasy points. I mean, look at the latest stretch, 5 straight of 20 plus. So really nice floor going against the White Sox here for Gerrit Cole. And then Senga is the wild card, and he ended up being so that Kansas City game was a mess from the start, and we kind of highlighted it in the lead up to the road struggles for Senga this year, and they were on full display. It's Kansas City, and yes, Bobby Witt is the hottest hitter in baseball, but 11 hits and 2 walks. I mean, 13 base runners in almost 6 innings is brutal. So we get the matchup back home, but he's facing one of the hottest offenses in the game. So he's definitely third for me. again, you can save 1,500 going from Strider to Cole. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say Cole doesn't have as high of a ceiling as Strider, but Strider just has a higher consistent floor and ceiling combination where Cole like can be the best pitcher in the game, but like there's still home runs allowed and stuff. So I would rank them probably as they're priced, but I'm perfectly
Yeah.
fine going Cole if you want to get Atlanta bats.
Yeah, I think Senga is probably going to end up being a fade for me because of the risk at 10K is just.
Agreed.
It feels like Aaron Nola. It feels like you Darvish, like the guys that we've profiled in recent slates where it's like, all right, the matchup, they had supposedly good matchups. Now, I wasn't in on Aaron Nola that night. I was stacking against them. And Michael Massey did homer for us. And Bobby Witt did have a good game, right? Like, there was just something about these guys that, like, they profile well in certain spots. You're like, all right, maybe this is the time. Well, I want to do that with, like, a 7K pitcher, not a 10K pitcher, So
Right.
Senga for me is probably out. I'd rather just find the money for Cole. Going down, you have Logan Webb against the Angels, but that lineup can be a little scary, obviously. We've seen Mike Moustakas come through. They got Brandon Drury back. Of course, they have Ohtani, Rengifo. Like, they have a lot of guys in that lineup that have been able to do some damage. Lately, they also do strike out a lot. Logan Webb doesn't profile as a high strikeout guy. They could have a ceiling strikeout game for him there. Freddie Peralta at $9,600, I get the price tag. Up and down recent starts again. If Colorado, though, one of the easier spots probably for him to have a matchup against. So, GPP's short, 10 strikeouts against him in an earlier start this year. He's at home, which I think is nice. So, for me, I'm with you. I think it's like Strider, Cole, and Peralta in this range. And, it gets kind of scary after that. I mean, as much as I've touted Brian Bayo all season long, the home run ball has been a little bit of an issue for him. He's been giving up a lot more hits. Ground balls are still great, but he had that crazy stretch earlier in this year, and we just haven't seen that consistency. Plus, the Red Sox just got swept at home against Toronto, and there were some issues in the clubhouse there. Alex Verdugo apparently decided to show up on Saturday 2 hours before the game and got benched because of it. Apparently that's been an issue for him this year a few times where he just shows up whenever he wants to. And then they lose because the whole team thinks Connor Wong hits a walk-off home run instead of out, and McGuire gets doubled off to end that game, and then they get obliterated on Sunday. So, like, I have to wonder where the Boston's mentals are going to be going into this game, because you would think against Kansas City this would be a start you would consider them for, right? A righty against KC, you would want Bayo, but you mentioned Bobby Witt, one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. Michael Massey, hitting really well. Salvi left today's game with an injury, or yesterday's game, so I don't know if there's any updates on his status there, but still, I don't know.
Bruised left hand.
Yeah.
A bruised left hand.
So I don't know if Bayo's where I want to go with this. Cease versus the Yankees feels a little iffy. Gavin against Toronto, the way they've been hitting, no. Like, do we go down to Dunning again? Do we retempt the Dunning waters here against Oakland? I mean, came through for us in an absolute monster way against the White Sox.
Yeah, insane. So, like, again, and I said it, and he obviously proved me wrong, where, like, it's kind of crazy to think he would double-digit strikeout again. And
nobody expected 11 Ks. So
I'll say it again. Like, it's crazy to think that he could do it again, but he did it again. So I think there's a solid floor ceiling here. I think Dunning's going to be incredibly popular. It's Oakland. We've seen it throughout the year, right? Like, starters are just popular when it comes to Oakland. I do want to circle back to just one guy, and that's Logan Webb. And so the Angels are like, they made all those moves, and now they've lost 6 in a row.
I know.
And now they're back under 5. Yeah, now they're back under 500. And it's like, you're now 4th in the division. You lose a game where Silseth gives you 12 strikeouts on Sunday. Like, I'm like okay getting to Logan Webb because he's just a hard guy to, like, he doesn't give up home runs. And I know 17 this year, probably like more than I expected given like he's just ground baller, but like ground ball, double digit ground ball outs in 4 of his last 5 starts. And the one against Washington, he gets tart. He gets torched.
One fly
And
ball
like
out against Arizona, right? Like
that's just what he does. And when he's doing that, he gives you the upside that he gave into the Colorado start, where it's a complete game shutout. So I would consider Logan Webb at that tier. Other than that, I largely agree on pretty much everything you mentioned. Like maybe Cease against the Yankees, but the Yankees bats have woken up. Stanton looks better
yeah.
other than running the
Oh, that
bases.
was
And
brutal.
I
That
mean,
was, I mean, that was a zero effort, John.
I mean, what are we
What are
doing?
we doing?
But yeah, I think largely it's Dunning. Like the Blue Jays have woken up, and Gavin Williams isn't throwing strikes, so we can't go to him. Sandoval, maybe Sandoval could be in play, but like, what is the win equity here, especially with the Angels not winning
Yeah.
games? The Giants, we know I mean, they got Thairo Estrada back, but like, dude, they haven't hit anybody. In what are they? Let's see where they are for since the All-Star break. They are 29th. So I this is weird to say. Tied for last against left-handed pitching this year, John.
Well,
Or since the All-Star break.
I mean, they've been bad against lefties all season long, right? Like that's what we got.
Do you want to know who they're tied with? Do you want to know who they're tied with in OPS?
Yankees
The Braves.
against lefties since the All-Star
Since
break?
the break.
Since the All-Star break.
Yeah, the Braves only have like 69 at bats against lefties. They basically faced all They basically faced all righties, but yeah.
Okay.
So the Giants are technically the worst offense in baseball against left-handed pitching since.
Yeah, they've been bad all season long. Their strikeout rate against lefties was at one point the highest in baseball. Sandoval is a decent pitcher. They're at home, which is nice, but like you said, of course, at any time, Ohtani can take Webb deep and get a run. So,
right.
Like I said, for me, I think Dunning and Sandoval, the two guys in this range. I'm not pitching anybody else. Not pitching Ryu with the way that game may not play anyways, but not doing Ryu. And obviously, Beto, no. Waldesuk, no. Cole Reagans broke the slate the other day if you played him. I don't know if that's going to happen against Boston again, but 2 starts for him now, looking pretty decent for the Royals.
10 and a half implied runs in this game. Is 1.5 runs higher than any other game on the board. I'm looking at Reagan's. Let's see if we have like
he's a lefty in Boston's. All their hitters are lefty, right? So
I know. I want to see if we've gotten lucky these last couple starts, like what is I mean, last start 0 ERA, 2.46 xFIP, and on top of that 4.38 BABIP. So like could have even been better in that start. He allowed 7 hits. The start before kind of got some luck, 267 BABIP, 490 xFIP, but 453 xFIP on the year. I'm trying to see, like, those were his first 2 starts. So, like, I was trying to see, like, as a starter versus a reliever, the sample is, like, tough to look at as a... But he started last year, didn't he, for Texas?
I feel like some games where he had a couple of starts in there. I don't remember him being any good.
40 innings. So actually, all 40 of his innings last year were as a starter.
He had a 5 ERA for his career. So
5 ERA last year. Let's see. Righties did a lot of damage. 369 WOBA against him last year. So just like you said,
play Adam Dunn.
We're not getting
Rough Snyder.
We're not getting not Adam Dunn. Adam Duvall. But I wish it was Adam Dunn as well. They said Story's not coming back till after Wednesday because he's going to finish his little
because he's
his rehab stint
down there. It's like, why not? So
so I'm probably not going to go there. I get what you're saying. It's a little like it's interesting, but 10.5 implied total in Fenway Park when he, in a bigger sample was bad last year as a starter. I don't think we need to go below Dunning.
So I agree with you. I was just saying, like, Duran, Devers, Yoshida, Verdugo, Casas. That's like fair. All of those guys are lefties. You can't take them all out of the lineup. You'll see Ref Snyder.
Turner.
You'll see Ref Snyder. You'll see Connor Wong, Luis Urias now because they sent down Christian Arroyo.
Justin Turner,
right? Like that's those are the
Yu Chang.
Yeah, Chang or Reyes, right? One of those two will start. Like that's so.
Well, Pablo Reyes is a pitcher now.
Did he throw it today? Yeah. They got blown
Sure
out.
did.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's such a bad. Got into a little argument on Twitter about that today. Someone's like, well, what did you want Heimblum to do? I'm like, I don't know. Pick up any back end starter, Savali, Lorenzen, like, I don't know. Anybody, literally anybody. Then Bernardino, Caleb Smith, or whoever the heck it was that they call Murphy, Caleb Murphy.
Yeah.
Caleb Smith would have been great. Where is he now? Still throwing on the bullpen for Arizona? I don't know. Bring him up. So, anyways, enough sidetracking here. This is pitching. We'll have the full playbook out for everybody. We'll see if any takes change, but I think we're kind of set. Either it's going to, we may not see Strider on the slate. So I think for me, it's going to be a Gerrit Cole and like Dane Dunning for my lineup. Some Sandoval sprinkled in. I know you're in on Logan Webb. I could see getting there. I'll throw some Peralta, but on an 8-game slate that could quickly turn into a 5-game slate, my pitching pool is about 5 guys, 4 or 5.
We can lock Cole Dunning for the sake of this podcast.
Too. Cole Dunning, love it. All right, moving on over to infield then. Talk to me about our favorite top price infielders. We've talked about the matchups we obviously want to target. We do have Texas against Waldesuk here, so we're going to find some interest, I think. Mitch Garver's down here at $3,500. I could have a lot of interest in him as our catcher for this slate. I mean, he's been hammering the ball of late now that he's back and the primary guy for them. We talk about first base, some matchups that we could look to take advantage of. Justin Turner is hitting lefties, so could play him against Reagans if you wanted to. Olsen, if that game plays off tonight, where are you looking at these top priced options in the infield?
I mean, just steal my thunder, all good.
Sorry.
I think Olsen and Turner are two of the better plays. Turner 264 ISO, 405 WOBA is first and second respectively on Boston. The ISO stat only behind Devers, which I think does make Devers interesting. We've said this for a long time. Like, Devers is good against all
people
splits,
don't play him against lefties, but we do, and then he homers, and we're like, "Yep, there's 3% home run."
Yep. And I assume he'll garner some love because the probably more so disrespect for Cole Reagans than it is for Devers. But another lefty split, I'd play Corey Seager, $6,300. He's another guy who has hit lefties extremely well. How about Bobby Witt against Brian Bayo? Because again, Bayo is interesting. So righties have not had a lot of success against him as much as lefties have, but over the last 30 days, 171 ISO allowed, 351 WOBA allowed to righties. Lefties are smashing him, which is really scary for the two lefties that Kansas City has in their lineup, and Michael Massey and MJ Melendez. But
there was a point where we were like, we can only play Bobby Witt against lefties because the numbers, and obviously the numbers against Bobby Witt versus lefties is still really good, 294, 510 slugging. But the numbers against righties are starting to rise as well, up to 260 batting average, almost a 500 slugging percentage against right-handed pitching now. So this dude is one of the best prospects in all of baseball. Last year, the year before that, he wasn't going to be just a platoon side player. He's becoming rounding well into a full stop all around stud. I would say maybe the only one detriment potentially to Bobby Witt in this game would be that, assuming Connor Wong is a starter here, Connor Wong has actually been one of the best defensive catchers in baseball in terms of throwing runners out at second base. I guess his pop time, if you want to go sabermetrics here, this is what I get by watching Red Sox games all weekend. His pop time is 4th best among catchers. So if Bobby Witt tries to run and Bayo's throwing a fastball, Connor Wong apparently has been one of the best catchers in baseball when it comes to throwing guys out. So
good to know.
It could be something there. Witt is certainly a guy that's going to look to steal. So let's keep that in mind. Willie Adames here at home against Lambert, gonna probably be in there. Yep. If that Mets game does play, again, not looking likely, but Lindor gets the lefty there, and Smiley could be a spot for him. Duran now at outfield shortstop eligibility to keep moving that around. He's $3,700. Again, looking for some Rangers against Waldichuk there. I would not shy away from Candelario against Senga if that game goes off, because that man just keeps on keeping on.
Sure does.
Gets first base eligibility now. Not cheap anymore, but still. So Moustakas had a big day the other day if you're looking for some value at third. Luis Urias is actually hitting the ball for Boston, so if you wanted him at 3K, could find some value there in the infield at third base for the Red Sox as well. Anybody else for you?
Yeah, some value plays. Jake Bauers has first base outfield eligibility. He's just hitting for power, and we know Cease struggles against lefties. $2,600 for the Yankees. How about the guy that you said wasn't a real player, Davis Schneider? He absolutely went nuclear against the Red Sox this weekend. Two,
he
3,
wasn't
and
on
4
the
hits.
slate on Friday.
He kept getting better as the weekend progressed. 2 home runs in his first 3 games. He has 13, 17,
Did you see what
and
this guy looks
31
like?
fantasy
Have you
points.
seen what this guy looks like?
Yeah, the stash is
with
impressive.
the glasses, like he's just a throwback look. So
he's apparently just forced his way into like getting called up before like any other top prospect
they
on
said
their
he was like a
team. Like
28th round pick or something like that.
Dude, he's just hitting so well that they were just like, all right, we just have to call this kid up. And then they were like, yeah, is he gonna play every day? And John Schneider, the manager, was like, oh, he'll get some time against righties. And then he just has 9 hits in his first 3 games. So
he had like 1,000 OPS at AAA this year. They're like, I guess we have to play him. Yeah. Comes up.
Well, he's $2,700. And I think he actually makes for like kind of a good value stack. Him and Brandon Belt, who once again had another big day on Sunday. Brandon Belt has 4 multi-hit games in his last 5. He has 14 plus fantasy points over that span. Gavin Williams has struggled a lot against lefties, so I like both those guys. Bryce Terang against Peter Lambert.
Yeah,
you've
been out trying for a couple slates now, so.
Well, he keeps being good, and like he was a highly coveted prospect. Like they were okay moving on from some guys in their infield because they had Terang. He hits righties well. He has speed. He has power.
You mentioned that lefties are the ones doing the damage against Bayo. Well, again, Massey's $2,500 here,
and Michael Massey.
No problem. They're going to keep hitting him in the middle of the lineup. You're just going to keep giving him opportunities.
Where'd we play? So the lineup that we cashed on Friday, he hit third.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's why we were in on. Well, I was in on the Royals anyways against Aaron Nola. I just kind of liked that spot for him when you were like, "Oh, Aaron Nola's 35% roster." I'm like, "Yeah, but I have to stack against him." That's ridiculous for that to be. And then Witt and Massey and all these guys ended up going have a big game.
Witt went Yabo and stole a base night.
Yeah, and he also got picked off third. So,
and he got picked off.
Which is unfortunate. They actually called him safe. They had to go to review, and then they ruled him out. So almost stole third as well there. Listen, Massey's another guy, right? Like another guy that was a decent prospect in their organization.
Yep.
The numbers don't look great, obviously, on a whole, but like power speed combo-ish, 9-5, coming around a little bit here. And you mentioned Bayo's having some troubles, and lefties are doing damage, and the Red Sox are falling apart. So he's $2,500. You can put him in at second base and play anything else you want. So I like Massey. I'm just gonna click the button. I'm gonna put Massey in the lineup here. Anybody outside the infield you want to discuss before we move on to outfield?
Second. I'm a little sad because there's so much good second base value on this slate because we have Schneider, him, and Terang all like.
Well, we can pivot if we need to.
No. I'm just saying, like, come on, like everyone else gets multi-position eligibility. Like, do us a favor here.
I would agree with you. Outfield here again, we got to see what games come off the board. Acuna forever, always in play. Same with Ohtani. Judge versus CC 7 runs and inning and 2/3 the last time out. So certainly could go for the Judge here if you wanted to. Adolis here against Waldesuk.
Adolis having one of those stretches too, John. By the way, that just get him to. It's just. Again,
they lost Josh Jung today, though. Fractured thumb. So it's a tough blow to that lineup.
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's tough.
Losing him there.
Good thing they made some acquisitions. On the other side of baseball, like just getting Scherzer and Jordan Montgomery as your.
But we would have loved Josh Jung here against Waldesuk for sure.
Sure.
Give me the Milwaukee lefties, right? Get Yelich, get Sam Frelick in lineups against Lambert here. That will play for sure.
Would you play Giancarlo?
I mean, the power of that's George Springer. He's coming around but
he's been pretty good lately. He had a really bad game on Sunday, Giancarlo, but he had been really good going into
homers
that
in
game.
3 of 5, hits in 4 straight before
I always say it to you. I'm like, I will only play Giancarlo Stanton if he's like, because he looks like he's like worth $300 million, and then he looks like he's not worth a major league roster spot when he's not going well. So
yeah, it's possible.
Probably in a Yankee stack. Probably in a stack
would
Bowers,
have to
Judge.
It would have to be in a Yankee stack. Could go Duvall against Reagans if you wanted just like 2-man Turner Duvall maybe in the Boston lineup.
Sure.
Nolan Jones,
absolutely
for sure against Peralta here. Again, if you're not in on Peralta, again, Peralta's a big strikeout guy, but also boom or bust. Could give up as many runs as he does, and so Mr. Astori is back in the lineups here. Had a stolen base in his return, shocker. So if you were against Dane Dunning on this slate, certainly can give out Astori Ruiz. That man will look to run at pretty much any opportunity that he gets. We're in on all Atlanta. We just don't know if that game's going to play or not.
Same thing with Texas. In on all Texas. Yep. Leote, Duran.
Yep, Jankowski.
Varsho is interesting here. 3,500. He's coming alive a little bit. Hits in 3 straight games.
Everybody looks good coming out of Boston series for Toronto.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair. Anybody else down here for you for value wise?
Casey has again. They have cheap lefties. Melendez is $3K. Drew Waters is 2,800.
Melendez homered on Sunday.
And I think Waters homered on Friday. I think back-to-back days he homered off Senga. I think that was the Senga game.
2 of the last 4.
So they have cheap lefty options down here as well.
Being a Red Sox fan, I'm fine stacking Kansas City here. So Ref Snyder hits lefties really well, so it could go Ref Snyder.
Ref Snyder does.
That's your 3-man Boston stack, right? Like Ref Snyder, Turner, and Duvall.
Yep. Oscar Gonzalez, 2,600 for Cleveland. He's
I want to go against Rue. I just don't know who in Cleveland I would play.
Jose Ramirez, Oscar Gonzalez, not Cole Calhoun because he's hitting 5th for them since getting called up, and probably David Fry at catcher because he's been hitting left-hander as well. But other than that, it's
all right. We got a couple minutes left. Let's finish off this lineup for the folks. So we have Massey plugged in. We got Cole and Dunning. Or catcher spot. I liked the idea of going Garver. Was there a different catcher you wanted to target here?
No, it's probably just punting with Furman, who doubled on the other day, or your guy that you just mentioned, or David Fry.
Sure. All
right. Just play Texas catcher that I'm losing. Garver. Justin Turner at first. Okay. I like. That game 10.5 total. That should be a fun game.
Third base.
Am
I plugging Ref Snyder for the value then?
Yeah, plug Ref Snyder for the value. Devers if we're spending up.
It wasn't a lot of value.
Third is not great today. Ryan McMahon 44 is good. Candelario is good.
I do 2 Devers in there, so we got 43. Can we fit Bobby Witt here?
Probably because there's cheap outfield. Texas has Leote. Yeah,
37.50.
And we could play Duran and Leote if we wanted to, or we could just play one of them. Varsho's here, 35.
$3,900 playing Leote. So
we have no Braves, which feels terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the weather holds out, we'll do Braves on the 5:00 stream, probably most likely.
So Duran 37.
Duran. We'll get 3 Texas in there, 3 Boston, 2 Kansas City. So Cole, Dunning, Garver, Turner, Massey, Devers, Witt, Ref Snyder, Leotes, and Duran is the lineup here. James and I will be back live at 5:00 Eastern. Get in the Discord. Meet us here at 5:00 Eastern time on YouTube. And the Fantasy on Twitter, BSN Twitter, all the good stuff. Breaking down the rest of this 5 games slate with all the updated news. James and I will talk to you all later. See you then.